So
right.
this week we are sponsored by the IDP guys once more. Um, IDP guys is your number one source in non-standard fantasy football. For more than 4 years, Nathan, Sean, and John have been providing year-round podcasts, articles, and premium data and rankings. Go to idpguys.org today and step up your fantasy game. So, Mark, it's your turn to give us the game script, what you're seeing out of this, the overview for the coming game.
All right, so I'm kind of I'm torn with this game. I'm kind of like going in both directions here. So of course we're talking about the upcoming Rams versus 49ers Sunday night football game here. Um, Pretty disappointing performance by San Francisco again, traveling from the West Coast going east. Pretty much got a smackdown by the Miami Dolphins, which looks like it's a team kind of like on the rise. They come back home to take on a division kind of like foe in the Rams. Rams are kind of like playing well. Rams are favorite in this game here, and rightfully so. But I kind of like see the 49ers going in two possible directions here.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the point where they could potentially be on a little bit of a skid, or do they bounce back here? So. And given the fact that these are division opponents, both teams know each other's, script of personnel fairly well. I'm expecting this to kind of like going to be a tight, especially I'm not sure if you can call it, defensive game, but in today's NFL, a defensive-oriented game here. So the narrative that I'm looking at this game here is not a lot of points and very, very close. That's kind of like what I'm looking at.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. So let's pick up and start. Let's start placing our picks here. So right off the bat, we've got our bottom four. We've got the Rams defense of over 1.5 turnovers. Raheem Mostert under 75.5 rushing yards. Kendrick Bourne and Brandon Ayuk under 80.5 receiving yards. And finally, Jared Goff under 2.5 touchdown passes. Since you led off with the overview, I'll give my first pick. And I'm going to go with, I think the Rams end up winning this. While it'll be close, I still think that they win by over 3.5 points.
All right.
Where would you like it?
Let's leave it at 10.
Let it ride at 10? Alrighty.
Yeah, let it ride at 10. I like it. Yeah, so the way I'm kind of like looking at it here, although I definitely feel like it's going to be a little tight. Point spread's not like that much here. I do feel that the Rams will move the ball. I think it's just going to be difficult for them to get into the end zone. So for my first pick here, I'm going to take Sam Sloman, and I'm going to take the over 1.5 field goals.
All right. I'm going to place that one right at 8. I think you're on to something there, and but I think there might be room for another higher pick possibly. So where I'm going to go is, so George Kittle last week was kind of held back. I think that he has a little bit of a bounce back this game. I don't think it'll be crazy, but I will say it'll be over 6.5 receptions. Where would you like it?
I mean, definitely some issues at the quarterback position coming into Sunday night, right?
Oh, absolutely. So you're looking at either CJ Beathard or if they can still ride with Jimmy G, but at some point, who else do they have to throw at? They don't really have the greatest receivers right now. There's a lot of injuries, and Kittle's your best receiver. He was the best receiver going into the year, so they got to get him into the game script somehow.
All right. I mean, I look, he's playing, so I guess the injury is like a little bit of a concern with mine. But if he's playing, he's playing. You can't necessarily take that into account here. I think
Hmm.
you're made a pretty decent point here. So let's just go ahead and leave that pick right there at number 9.
And number 9, alrighty.
Yep.
What do you got?
I'm gonna be just like taking like a little bit more of a traditional kind of pick with this one here. Again, I thought it was like gonna uh, be low scoring, tightly contested, defensive oriented here. So let me just kind of like lock in on the under 50.5 point total.
All right, and I'll let that ride at 7. I think you're right on with that, and I think part of that is going to be this defensive game. That while the San Francisco's pretty beat up on D, I still think that because this is a division game and these opponents see each other a lot, that the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan is going to be able to kind of figure it out and keep pressure on Goff and his receivers. But I do think on the flip side, Aaron Donald is too much of a specimen to look past, and that line is pretty amazing at getting him in position. So I'm going to put the Rams defense over 2.5 sacks.
All right, yeah, you can leave that at the highest possible slot that you can probably get to it. I would actually make the argument, if I can, to lock that in at the number 10 slot here. I just think this is something that the 49ers are struggling with here. They've given up 18 sacks in the past 5 games. That's basically, fourth in the NFL in terms of sacks allowed here. Donald is, I don't know, I guess definitely, in my opinion, the most talented defensive end in football right now. Monster
Yeah,
game for him.
absolutely. And actually, now that you bring it up, why don't we swap the George Kittle and the sacks?
There you go.
Swap 9 and
It's a
6.
good compromise. Yep.
There we go. Cool.
I
And
think it's a very
look
big
how
concern
easy
for
that
San
was.
Francisco. Yeah.
Look how
I think
easy that was with the system.
it's a big concern for the 49ers. It's way
Mm-hmm.
it, for a team with their expectations. Granted, a lot of injuries and question marks, coming into the game here, but they should be better than that. I mean, 18 sacks in 5 games is a lot.
Yeah, and Aaron Donald doesn't care. If you saw what he did
No.
when Alex Smith
Yep.
came into the game last week, Alex Smith hadn't been hit in practice for 2 years since coming off that injury, and Aaron Donald jumped on his back to tackle him to bring him down.
He's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
All right. So with that, why don't you wrap it up with the last pick?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not necessarily the sexiest pick here, but I mean, there will be some type of points kind of being scored. So I also like the San Francisco kicker, Robbie Gould, one over 1.5 field goals. Don't like a
All
lot of
right.
touchdowns. I don't like a lot of big plays here, but I think the teams, both of them, will do a fairly decent job in moving the ball. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
expect either of them to get into the end zone, which leaves a good spot, in my opinion, to be playing the Pickers in this Sunday night game.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, Robbie Gould, I use him in fantasy football. He's one of my go-to kickers when playing fantasy. So he's going to get his. I'm sure of it. And that's what he needs to kick 2 field goals. That's not that much, especially in a
Gotta get
defensive
two.
game. Yeah. So with that, let's lock it in. We'll save it. We'll talk next week about how we did. Hopefully, I'll be doing better this game than I did the last game. But this is fun. I enjoy it. It's good competition too, and hopefully, at some point in the near future, we get some of our listeners involved.